Hello and welcome back to our Batman the Animated Series episodes commentary. And today's episode is definitely my favorite episode of this show. That's it. My favorite, my top one episode in this show, Trial. And we're going to watch it together. But for this, if you are watching your DVD box set or Blu-ray box set or streaming service, let me do a countdown so we can watch it together. All right? So let's go in 3, 2, 1. Give it a play. The first Warner Bros. Logo is on the screen. And now the second one. So yeah, this episode right here is my favorite one of all time in Batman the Animated Series, Trial, because it's just one of the most fun of all of them. If you don't remember, it's about a trial that occurs in Arkham Asylum, which the person being judged is none other than Batman. And he's being judged by all the villains of the asylum. So we have every single villain, I think, as far as I remember, all the villains show up in this episode, at least the most important ones. And they all judge Batman for his crimes, and he is being defended by a district attorney that doesn't really like him and is forced to defend him in the eyes of the law of these villains. So it's basically almost like a Die Hard kind of scenario with Batman, because he's trapped inside Arkham Asylum and he must find a way out of this trial and a way out of the prison, and also save the district attorney. So the episode starts with Poison Ivy being taken back into the asylum after a trial, which her apparently freedom was revoked, and she gets back to the asylum. I think it starts right away. The plot, doesn't waste any time to start. She goes back to the asylum and she finds Harley there. As we know, both of them have a friendship by this point. And apparently they can talk to each other between cells because they are separated by a glass. And Harley tells Ivy that Jarvis Stack, or the Mad Hatter, has controlled the minds of 2 security guards outside. So, yes, the plot starts right away with the prison inmates taking control of the asylum. And this is great because it's such an amazing episode in terms of script. There's so many details and puzzle pieces that are part of the puzzle that have to fit in this 20-minute runtime. That is fascinating. This could be a movie. In fact, this was considered to be a movie by the creators of Batman the Animated Series before it became an episode. I think I might have mentioned this in my video about canceled or supposed scripts for episodes in this show that were never materialized. But yes, this was considered to be a feature animation that I think, if I'm not mistaken, was going to be the real feature animation instead of Batman Sub-Zero, right? Which is the one he faces Mr. Freeze. This was the one that they were considering to do, and I think this one would have been better, with such a great script like this one. Just by seeing the idea of Batman trapped in Arkham Asylum, this is probably the first iteration or the first version of Batman Arkham Asylum from the games, where the plot is exactly this. Batman is trapped inside the asylum with all the villains which he has to face. because they are taking over the prison. And it's such a great idea. It's such a great plot, and it's such a well crafted episode. I love it with a passion, you know. So yes, the attorney Van Dorn is this prominent character in this episode. She really doesn't like Batman. She has an argument with Commissioner Gordon before. Then Batman shows up in the Commissioner Gordon's office, and she has some words for him. They have a little bit of argument because she doesn't approve his ways. Of course, he's a vigilante, right? And the thing is that she gets kidnapped by the villains, and she has a lunch or a dinner with Bruce Wayne first, and he tries to talk to her about the benefits of having Batman in the city, and of course she gets disgusted by that. She really doesn't like Batman at all, and then she gets kidnapped later, and Batman receives a note on a rooftop about her probable location. When he goes after her, he meets both Harley and Ivy in the roof. Ivy is disguised as this justice statue, right? That is on the roof, and she knocks him out with an arrow with some substance to get him unconscious. So then Batman is kidnapped as well. After that, we get to see Van Dorn in the asylum. She's in a prison cell, and Two-Face shows up to take her out. And then she realizes that she's in the Arkham Asylum, and all the security guard staff and the doctors, they are all having their minds controlled by Jarvis Tech, by Mad Hatter. And the Two-Face announces to her that they're gonna make a trial with none other than Batman, and Killer Croc arrives, bringing Batman in a straitjacket, dragging his ass on the floor, by the way, which is very funny. And both now the prosecutor Van Dorn and Batman are inside a cell, and they have this argument because apparently she's gonna be the one to defend him in the trial conducted by the villains, and she is astonished with this idea, right? Why her to defend this guy who she truly hates? It's funny. This character Van Dorn, she's not exactly a how should I say, a romantic interest for Batman, but maybe she could, right? Because she's an interesting character. She's a woman that doesn't like Batman, but she does have her point. You know, she has a reason for that. It's not necessarily the fact that she's an evil person. She just doesn't agree with his ways. And so maybe that would be an interesting counterpoint for a romantic relationship with Batman Bruce Wayne, because she had a dinner with Bruce early, so maybe they could have this thing together, but she doesn't know he is the Batman. That could be interesting. Anyway, both of them are taken into the main hall of the asylum. This is great. We see all the villains there. We have Scarecrow, we have Croc and Harley and Two-Face, and we're gonna see many more later on. We see Scarface right there, and the ventriloquist. Oh, this is beautiful, man. I just love this episode. I really wish this one would have been a feature film, you know, because they could have done so much more with this story. But anyway, maybe the writers and producers realized that just stretching the story would be harmful for the whole thing. And then we see all the villains sitting on a bench. We see Croc, Harley, Ivy, the Riddler, which I think is the only time we see the Riddler in this episode, which is a pity because he's such an amazing character for me. We all love him. But you can see him sitting on a bench with all the other villains for this moment. He doesn't show up anymore later. And then the judge enters the show, and he is none other than the Joker, of course. And I love the fact that instantaneously he condemns Batman by guilty without even having the trial. And Van Dorn uh, demands that she has a fair trial to for Batman to be, you know, condemned. So uh, obviously it's very fair that the prosecutor of this trial is Two-Face, because he was the previous district attorney before her, and now she will play the part of the defendant. So it's a great role reverse in this justice system, right? So the first witness to be on the bench is Jarvis Tech, and they talk about the first episode that he was in, which had Jarvis kidnapping Alice, if you remember, and because he was a stalker, right? He was obsessed with her, and so defendant Van Dorm now she asks him about why he's why he puts the blame on Batman for his imprisonment, since he was the obsessed and stalker behind that girl, and he loses his mind and says that he would have killed her if necessary to be with her, and immediately they lose the case. uh and also there is this funny bit when he asks uh, uh the the judge to remove this final line that he said from the report, and the Joker says, I didn't even know we had a report. Is someone supposed to be writing all this? uh what a great script. What a great episode. Now the next witness to be on the bench is Harley Quinn. And here, Van Dorn mentions the past of her origin story that we haven't seen so far. The fact that she was a psychiatrist or psychologist, I don't remember, in Arkham Asylum, and the Joker twisted her mind to be on his side. So, and she also reveals that the Joker one apparent moment in their relationship where Joker escaped and left her behind to be imprisoned, and she jumps on the Joker. I mean, Harley gets frustrated and angry and jumps on the Joker to kill him. So we see this, again, as usual, we see a bit of this twisted relationship. Uh, and then we get Ivy on the bench now. And again, Van Dorn talks about her origin story in this show, which was she had a brief relationship with Harvey Dent before he became Two-Face. The only time we actually saw Harvey in the show without, I mean, yeah, before his, main persona, the only time we had an episode that featured the friendship between him and Bruce Wayne. And then Van Dorn uses a strategy that is very effective about getting a flower that is on the chest of the Joker, the one he uses to, spray his gas or sometimes his acid. And she starts to peel this flower in front of Ivy, getting her furious about that. And she jumps on Van Dorn, and then Scarecrow and Mad Hatter had to restrain her. And then we have probably my favorite line in this episode, which is from Scarface when she's getting, restrained. That he says, "You are beautiful when you are angry." And then she slaps the ventriloquist and not the doll, which is great. So this is a very fun episode. This is, again, this is my favorite episode because it has this whole Batman lore combined. We've never seen all the villains together. We've never seen uh the all of them working together, to get the Batman, except for maybe we get a sip of this in the episode Almost Gotten, but again, not like here. And this is what I love about this episode because uh it is almost like an event situation, right? An event situation in the comics or in a cartoon or in the movie. I don't know. When we get all these villains together, it is an event story for the character. That's why I think this episode should be much more revered and remembered as one of the best, for me, the best one. And then with all the arguments and all the defenses that defendant Van Dorm gave in the trial, the villains convince themselves that they are actually the guilty ones for their own lives and not Batman. Batman is innocent of all of that, which was the great discussion of the trial, right? Is Batman, I mean, just a city defendant, or he's the one who created all these villains as well? And by all the arguments that Van Dorm gave, uh, they are all depraved in nature, and none of that is fault of Batman, which I agree. I always agreed in every version of the character. He it looks like he creates these villains, but it's not true. Everybody's responsible for their own faith or choices in life. Anyway, Batman is he's deemed innocent by the trial, which is great. But since everybody here is a villain, they're gonna condemn him to the electric chair, I suppose. Or it's not a chair, but it's a table. But they're gonna kill him anyway in this device. Uh, in a or they're gonna electrocute his ass anyway. Because they don't care. And this is where we see all the villains working together. We're gonna have from now on, the episode is basically a series of great sketches with all these villains, through the asylum. And Judge Joker is gonna conduct the whole death penalty. And all the villains will watch, right? And he gives Batman the chance to say a final word, and he will remove his mask for everybody to finally see who he really is. And this is where Van Dorm, she has a bat rag of Batman with her, which she kept from early, and she tosses the thing into the lights of the room. So before Joker can remove Batman's mask, everything becomes dark, and this is where Batman is able to escape from his restraints and fight all of them. He first gets Harley in the dark and takes her away. The only thing they have is a lightning a lighter from Two-Face in his hand to give them light. So they end up finding Harley, upside down and trapped within the straitjacket. Then Batman, jumps on Killer Croc. Joker gets a machine gun and starts shoot everything inside the room. Scarface warns him that he will kill Killer Croc, and he goes, "Who cares?" Such a great episode. I keep saying that, such a great episode. I just love it. When I do my top 10 favorite episodes, this one will be my top one for sure. So, spoiler alert. In this, when Joker shot, or he fired his shotgun. Sorry, he fired his machine gun in the room. He ends up shooting this device that has this electric box, right? And the electric box explodes, and this is where Batman is able to escape from the room with the prosecutor Van Dorn, and all the inmates from the asylum start to run after them, and they have to escape through the corridors, which is great, fantastic. And eventually, they end up meeting some of the villains in there. We see Scarecrow with a scythe, which is something that we rarely see him using in the show. And he uses the scythe, but ends up, decapitating the doll from the ventriloquist. Then Batman punches him and tosses him over Mad Hatter and Ivy. Then the other inmates start to circle both Batman and Van Dorn, and Batman he uses his grappling hook to get them up on the roof and escape all the inmates. And this is where Commissioner Gordon arrives at the asylum with all his cops and surrender all the villains. But there's still one villain to be, put back in jail, which is the Joker. So we have a final confrontation on the roof of the asylum with Batman and Joker. Joker uses a rope to trap Batman. And then we have this great dangling fight between them in the middle of two buildings where Joker tries to hit Batman with a hammer, and Batman, they both dangle from side to side. And this is where Batman kicks the Joker in the face and falls with him. But then he uses the grappling hook to save both of them. And this is it. Batman won again. Great episode. Again, this is what I think this one should be a feature film, because the scenes are so great, but they're so short, right? And then in the end of the episode, we have this final scene where everything is fine again. And Van Dorn is a little more, a little more acceptive of the Batman existence, at least for now in the city. And we have this great ending with the sunrise behind the Arkham Asylum. What a great episode. I just love it. I think this episode should become a movie someday. I could write this movie. I could direct it. In fact, I love this story. So this is it. Thank you very much. If you are liking the content of BATGUS, please don't forget to leave your beloved like and your wonderful subscription so we can keep talking about Batman and DC Universe forever. All right? See you in the next Bat episode, and bye-bye.